Bit of ingredients here that goes into the black cake, but please don't get intimidated. It's very simple once we start putting it together. So here we go, guys. In this bowl, in this little container, I've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I've got half a pound of unsalted butter that's at room temperature, just to make it easier for creaming. Here I've got 1 cup of brown sugar. I mean, say you can use white sugar, granulated sugar if you want, but I love the sort of rich Caribbean taste or vibe you get from the brown sugar. Here I've got 6 large eggs. Again, I brought it up to room temperature, so I've had it out for about half an hour now. If it's straight out of the fridge, it works better. Let's just say it works better at room temperature. I've got some salt, just a pinch of salt, nothing much. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We've got some cinnamon here. I'm probably going to use about a teaspoon of cinnamon, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice, and nutmeg. If you can get fresh nutmeg that you can grate into this, so much better. But today I'll be using just the stuff out of the jar here, out of the can. And for the nutmeg, we're probably going to use about 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Now, one thing I want to mention to you guys, I'm going to be using, and it's called West Indian Pride. I'm on free promo for West Indian Pride Connect. They should be contacting me for some advertising opportunities. But this is burnt sugar, and it's authentic West Indian style burnt sugar. And pretty much it's a caramel. It's for gravies and cakes especially. Now, I'm going to be using a tablespoon of this, and this is really thick. I should have poured it out into a spoon to show you guys, but it's not the traditional or normal browning you will find in the grocery stores. Try to get the West Indian Pride or any West Indian style burnt sugar, like this one here, the burnt sugar caramel browning, sorry. It's going to be thick. It's going to be almost the consistency of molasses, believe it or not. We're going to use a tablespoon of that. I'm going to bring out back my old bottle of Angostura bitters. I'm just going to give it a splash of Angostura bitters, just to give it that unique Trinbagonian flavor, guys. Mixed essence. We're going to use maybe about a teaspoon of mixed essence. Again, you can find it in your local Caribbean market. Some vanilla. I'm going to use a teaspoon of vanilla. And at the very back here, I don't know if you guys recall, this is the fruits I've had soaking in rum and sherry and brandy and all that stuff, all that goodness. That, when I open that up, it's toxic. I mean, you can get drunk from eating that stuff. However, the scent, the smell, oh my gosh, it's so good. If you're looking for a video on how to put that together, check in the description of this video. I'll put a link for that. So these are the ingredients. I do apologize for taking all your time. If there's anything I remember while I'm making the cake, putting together the batter, I'll be sure to tell you guys. You may have seen in the little clip before that I had something that I forgot to mention to you guys. And here I've got 1 teaspoon of freshly grated lime zest. All I did was, using my grater, I grated a lime, the outside of a lime. Try not to get any of the white stuff in there. Most of the green stuff, that's going to add another layer of flavor to this cake. The first step in making the batter is to cream the butter and the sugar. And if you have one of those KitchenAid mixers, this is where it really comes in handy. For making this batter, one of those things is just perfect. Now, we don't own a KitchenAid mixer, so I'm just going to use my hand mixer here, and I'm just going to cream this until it's nice and smooth and fluffy and you can't get the texture of the sugar anymore. If you're using a hand mixer, as I am, what you may want to do, and ever so often, is to scrape down the sides of the bowl as you go along, creaming the butter and sugar together. It will take some time, so do have some patience. It took me a few minutes, but the sugar and butter is all creamed up now. So all I'm going to do is start adding 1 egg at a time. I'm going to cream that up and keep adding until all the eggs have been incorporated in here and everything is nice and smooth. Up next, we're just going to add now the mixed essence. the vanilla, a dash of the Angostura bitters. Now this is totally optional, but it's something I like to include in there, as well as the lime zest. I'm just gonna give that a good mix again, just to incorporate all those lovely aromatics that we just added. Now it's time to add the star of the show, the rum soaked fruits. And here I have 2 cups, and it's very solid, it's very heavy. I'm gonna add anywhere from 4 to 5 cups. Now this is a total thing that goes by preference, so if you like that rich, rummy, fruity flavor of the cake, obviously you're gonna add more, you're gonna add 5. But I think in this case here, I'm just only gonna add maybe about 4.5 cups. And the other thing I want to mention, this is going to be very stiff or very strong for a hand mixer to work in. So add 2 cups, work it in a bit with a spatula or a spoon, and then work it with a hand mixer. Again, if you have the KitchenAid stand mixer, it'll be so much easier. But we're just going to add this now, incorporate everything, and then we're going to get to the dry ingredients. All I'm doing, since it's going to be a bit stiff for the hand mixer, I'm just using a sort of a silicone spatula here, and I'm folding in everything just to make it easier for the hand mixer. Now I'm going to use a hand mixer and really give this a good mix. Then I've got 2 more cups to add of the fruits into here. In this bowl here I have all of the dry ingredients, so the flour, the nutmeg, the cinnamon, the allspice, as well as the baking powder and a pinch of salt in this bowl here. All I'm going to do is give it a good mix, because you really want to incorporate everything before you start adding it to the wet batter. Now what I would personally do is sift this now into another bowl just to aerate everything, and again to help incorporate it all together. We're about to add the dry ingredients, which is the flour and everything, into the batter here. So what we're going to do, again, to help this mix evenly, we're going to add maybe about 1/3 at a time of the flour, the dry ingredients, into here. Give it a good mix, and then move on to the second third and then the final third. Just incorporate everything into the batter nice and evenly. Again, since I'm using a hand mixer, all I'm doing is folding in the flour just to help the hand mixer a bit before I get to it. So it's pretty much all in there. So I'm going to say that's only the first third of flour that I've added, but now I'm going to put the hand mixer in there and give it a good mix. The final step in making the batter here, guys, is to add the browning, the pretty much burnt sugar to the mixture here. And this is what gives it that unique color. I just want to pour this out and show you guys how thick and dark this is. So it's a heaping tablespoon I've put in there, and I'm just going to mix that thoroughly. Notice how nice and stiff, well, not stiff, but strong this batter is here. I'm just going to work that in. It's going to get nice and dark and rich and everything else. So here we go, guys. The final step in making the batter. Just to ensure that the batter is fully mixed, all I'm doing is using a spatula here, and I'm giving it a good final mix by hand. You really want to make sure that every ingredient is married to the other. Guys, you won't believe the wonderful scent of Christmas I have in the house here right now. And remember, it hasn't started baking yet. I'm gonna preheat my oven now, and then while that oven is coming up to temperature, I'll show you guys something. I've got a bit of a mess to clean up here, so I'm gonna continue mixing this for another minute or two, preheat the oven, and then we're gonna put it to bake. Just want to quickly show you guys, and I've got the oven now preheated at 250 degrees, but I bought these disposable sort of baking pans here at the dollar store. I think I got 4 in a pack for $1 or $2, I can't remember. Dollar store, yeah, but sometimes they charge more than $1. But all I did was, and I have one already done here, I greased the tin, and then I lined it with parchment paper just to make this easier to come out when it's done baking. All I'm going to do now is trim the paper around it, get rid of it. And one more thing, guys, I want to mention is that I I poured in enough to maybe about 3/4 of the way up in the baking tin. I'm probably going to get 4 of these cakes. Well, not probably. I'm going to get 4 of these cakes in this tin here. If you're using the round pans, you probably get 2 of them. I like using these pans because it also comes with these lids that you can seal it with after it's done baking and give it away as Christmas presents if you want. So what I'm going to do, I have the rest of the batter there. I've got another pan there. I've got 3 more pans that I'm just going to, again, grease, line with the parchment paper, and then fill it maybe 3/4 of the way up. Hey guys, so I told a lie. Please don't tell Santa that Chris is lying on YouTube here. There wasn't enough for 4 tins, the tins that I'm using here. But definitely if you're using round tins, the 8-inch round tins, there will be enough for 2 tins. I have 3 tins here, 3 baking pans or tins, whatever you want to call it. Again, these are the disposable ones. And all I'm going to do now is put it on the middle rack in the oven at 250 degrees. Yes, it's very low, but we're going to cook this for about 2.5 hours. Now, depending on your oven, I cannot comment on your oven, but what you want to do is after 2.5 hours, we're going to give it a toothpick test. If you realize that it still needs more cooking, you may need to cook it all the way up to 3 hours. So anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours and you're good to go. Guys, this is going to brighten up your whole house, your whole kitchen with a wicked scent today. Chris here, guys. We're going to put this to bake now and we'll get back to it when it's all done baking. I just took the cakes out of the oven, guys. The entire kitchen, the house, the basement, the upper floor, the garage, the neighbor's house, everywhere smells like lovely Christmas cake. All we got to do now, I just took it out of the oven. It cooked for 2.5 hours at that low 250 degrees. I'm just going to take a toothpick and let's focus in on the bottom one here. I'm just going to stick it through the middle. Comes back out nice and clean and dry. That means it's fully cooked all the way through. Now remember guys, I mentioned to you all that depending on your oven, a lot of ovens tend to differ with the thermometer, the built-in thermometer and stuff like that. So the easiest way is to do the test after 2.5 hours. If you feel it still needs some more cooking, some more baking, stick it back in there for another 15-20 minutes or so and you should be good to go. Now guys, this is my way of doing this cake. Everyone and their aunt has a different way of doing this cake. So please, when you guys see my recipe, it may look a little bit different to what you're accustomed to, but trust me, it works. It is really tasty. All you want to do now is if you have some extra rum, some extra brandy, some cherry wine or something, you can just brush it on there, allow it to soak, and seal it up. Like, after you brush it, seal it up with some plastic wrap and allow it to soak for a couple of days and you're good to go. It's gonna have that strong rum flavor, but hey, that's what this cake is all about. If you're watching this on YouTube, give me a thumbs up, leave me your questions below in the comment section, and guys, don't forget to subscribe. Right above, you're going to see that subscribe button. Click on it. I appreciate your support, and thanks for joining me in the kitchen today.